Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you today. And we are going to be talking about the new LinkedIn jobs feature. Well, it isn't that new, but true to LinkedIn, it may not have rolled out to all of you anyways. We're going to look at that, look at what you can do with it, what you can't do with it. We'll look at the old one a little bit so you can see the differences. And then what does that mean for us, but also how we can use it just beyond the list that you can get there, because that's really like any other job board. Yes, it has its perks, and there are companies that use it and focus on it, and you could do easy apply. There's definitely some good things there. And when it comes right down to it, it's just another job board. So how do we help our clients stand out, get beyond all of the other challenges that a job board presents so that they can be the person that is referred in, known in, and brought into the job? And it looks like we're having issues on LinkedIn. So let me see if I can do anything about that. If not, just join us over on YouTube and we'll see if we can get it going on LinkedIn as things go here. Let me see. Oh, it looks like maybe it's working. Anyways, all right. If at any time it has trouble, head on over to YouTube and you can find us on YouTube at this link. I will drop in the comments so that if there's challenges over here on LinkedIn, you can find us over on YouTube. Okay, so what are we going to do about this LinkedIn jobs changes? Here's the thing. LinkedIn is constantly making changes. I'm not quite sure why it gets to the point, I think, where they've lost a lot of their user base. I hear from executives all the time. They don't really use LinkedIn. Posting every day on LinkedIn is seen as a negative. If you are a thriving professional that's not in sales, marketing, or career space. So I think they've done themselves some injustices by having that continual movement in a way that doesn't add any value. And I was talking to our membership group about this morning, and Murray Mann said, "Is this going to be your thought for today?" And it's like, yes, my thought for today is this new job search feature. I don't really understand how it's adding any value, why the changes are there, but I'm also aware that at some point they'll get rid of the old view. And so I want us to be ready for that. I want our clients to be ready for it. And I want you to go into old view and see some of the things that are there, because you have to like intuitively ask that now, which they think is a positive. I don't really think so, because people don't know what to ask. But this is what we do a lot in our membership. It's what we do in our digital branding class that starts tomorrow, is we help you keep up on these things, because it is a constant revolving door and everybody's looks different. So you can't even sit down and say, this is what you're going to see, client, because it may look different on their computer than it looks on yours. And it will look different on yours than it looks on mine. It's not because I have premium. It's just because things don't roll out consistently across people. But in our membership group, we've seen that this is the main way that you can navigate to the old jobs feature, new jobs feature, whatever you want to do. Are you ready? All right, let's jump in to LinkedIn and see what is what here today. And I did look at this earlier because, like I said, it changes every day. So here's the new, not the new LinkedIn jobs feature. Here's LinkedIn jobs. And when you get in here to the jobs feature today, the way that it wants you to start is describe the job you want. Now, here's the thing, is you can do a really good search here, and we're going to look at some Boolean searches. We're going to look at all that stuff, but it doesn't tell you, it gives you some examples, but it doesn't tell you, and right now you're just seeing my search history because we're playing around with it. It doesn't tell you what to put in or what's possible. And so this is one of the reasons I think looking at the old job search and thinking, okay, I can help my clients put these things in, because now you have to remember to put them all in your request. So if I grab a prompt, and I had a sample simple prompt here, we'll look at some Boolean stuff later, but just a sample simple prompt. Let me grab this here. Thinking about what you can do in here is, this. And I don't like this prompt right away. Find a marketing job. We're not going to say remote if it's in Detroit. So you have to remember to put in the location, put in the title, put in the level, put in the industry, put in the salary. Those are all things you can put in that used to be in the filters. Now you have to remember to put them in there. And we'll look at the old job search so you can see all the things I just spouted off here in just a second. So I can say, find me a marketing job, Detroit, that pays whatever, however much you want to make. And it will go and it will search that for you. Now, one of the things we were struggling with earlier is that you have to put in a location or it defaults to the location you searched last time. But since there's no filters, it doesn't tell you that up front. You just have to know to put it in. Again, you can see my frustration with this. So we get this search results of the jobs. Again, you're seeing some premium things. Those wouldn't be there if you don't have premium, but everything else would look the same. And so I can get into the search and you can see the filters I have available now in the new job search. Date posted, company, easy apply. So that's going to filter ones to just the ones that use the easy apply button. There's nothing wrong with the easy apply button. It does, jobs that have it, jobs that don't have it, all of them are susceptible to the bot applications. Turning that on or off doesn't really make that much difference. Some employers like it, so it's not a bad thing. Under 10 applicants, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Under 10 applicants, under 10 applicants is to me, a double-edged sword. So yes, you might look at those jobs and go, oh, great, these ones don't have as many applicants. I'll go ahead and apply. But the challenge is because LinkedIn is susceptible to application bots, there might be really good jobs that actually don't have that much real competition, but have more than 10 applicants. So yes, you can filter down by that, but I don't know that I'd recommend keeping that filter because it's just one thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the other jobs that have more than 10 applicants actually have more competition. And then in my network is going to show you companies where you know someone who knows someone. And he still, it's looking at 194 of my alumni work there. Do I know any of them? Maybe not. 10 connections, that's maybe a better thing, so we can get that there. So you can put in a good descriptive search, but what do you want to put in the description? I feel like they think people know this, and maybe your job seekers do, but I feel like I wouldn't and my job seekers don't. So let's go look at the old version. So if you click over here, it says AI powered search is in beta. And I can switch back to the classic job search. So that's over here on the right where I can say, AI search is in beta, switch back, and I can come over here and switch back to the classic job search. Now, what we get in the classic job search is all the filters that we were used to having. So we want to make a note of this somewhere and maybe make a little guide for your clients. Maybe we'll do that. Make a little guide of these are the things you want to think about including in your prompt, because prompts are only good if they are specific, right? That's why we talk to people about how to prompt, but most people don't know that they can do all these. So you can say when it was posted, I don't know, I haven't tried that in a prompt, but we could try it. You can say the level, and I would use these levels that it has outlined. So let's copy those and put them somewhere, because people are still posting jobs connected to these criteria, even though they're not connecting those criteria in the search. So I want to use these terms when applicable. Company was in the old one, job type wasn't. So if those are helpful, I might include those. Remote, we could try searching by that. You'll see that the remote is still going to be tied to a location. So I have to put like US or something, which is kind of weird. It was trying to tie Detroit to remote. Weird. So you do have to still tie it to a location, US, Australia, wherever you are, it's going to want to tie it to at the very least a country, even if you're looking remote. Easy apply, that one still shows up in the buttons. Location still shows up in the buttons on the new search. Industry, you might not think about that, so you could help clients add in the industry when relevant. Job function, we're probably thinking about that in terms of their title, function and title. Probably don't need both of those in the new search that we might put in. Salary, right? My prompt suggested to put in the salary, so I did that. And I don't know that you really want to try to search by benefit or commitments anymore if we're trying to use the new search. But the idea is, if we look at these filters over here on the right, those can help you and your clients inform what you put in the search on your new search thing. Because at some point, this will go away. And the only thing available to us will be this new AI beta search thing, where you have to somehow know all the criteria that you could put in to get a good search. So we're putting in our search, we can still have these buttons. You can still change the location, which is kind of interesting, but you can't do it by title. Now, someone in our Facebook group, which I love, was asking, can you still set up a job alert for a company? Yes, and you have to choose the company and the location, and you could decide if you wanted to add title. But let's just say jobs at, and I usually pick at Hewlett Packard, and I have to choose a location. So I could say in the US, I could say in Fort Collins, where I used to live, where there's a big HP office. And that's how I could still set a company level job alert. And then I just toggle this little blue thing at the very bottom, which hopefully you can see. Yeah, you can toggle that little blue thing down there at the bottom to get an alert for that type of job. And then I can go in to manage my alerts to turn it off, which I will do later, so that I'm not getting alerts for these weird jobs. But you can still set a company level alert. You just have to do it this way. Okay, let me look. We've got some questions. I love it. Yay. US applicants not default to US postings. You have to. So we were playing around with this, and I need to like clear my cookies and see what it does if I totally don't put in a location at all. I think it defaults to the location you've got in your profile, Jennifer. So if you do a search and you don't put in a location, I believe it defaults to the location of your profile. It will not let you search without a location, which is kind of weird that it doesn't tell you that. Like, it makes it sound at all free form, but it really isn't. You still have to have certain things. And if you don't, it kind of guesses at them for you, which is annoying. So I'll tell you how I really feel about it. If you put in the salary, will it still show jobs in states that aren't required to post salary? I believe that LinkedIn requires you to put in the salary in the back end, but it would be interesting to play around with that and see if there are things that get left out because you've put in a salary. Ken Diamond demonstrated this for a while ago, and I believe even if you can't see it visibly as an applicant, that when you post a job officially in the LinkedIn jobs feature, that you do have to put in that salary so that it can filter. We'll have to play around with it. Let me know what you find. So I would toggle back to the old view, see what criteria you might want to include, and then put that in there. So the other thing that the articles releasing this feature claim that you can do is use Boolean search to get better answers. Now, when I first started doing this and trying to play with it, some of the advice I was getting said, oh, you want to filter down by salary and stuff afterwards. And I was like, no, you can't filter by salary afterwards anymore. You've got to put it in the first prompt. So let's try this, coming up with a Boolean search here. So we want, let me see, come back to the beginning here. So we're looking at product marketing manager or product manager and SaaS, not director and remote and Detroit and 110. So it's the same thing we did last time, only more specific to the job titles and don't include this and do include that. I love that it said director, because remember that was a level that you could choose. And so we're removing that. This is fictitious, right? We may or may not want to do these things, but do we get good matches if we put in this very complex Boolean search? And no, we do not. The first result is Sioux Falls, South Dakota, San Diego. My heart is in San Diego. We're getting remote, and they're in the US. I don't know why you would want remote in a city anyways. I think that's kind of weird. But yeah, I don't see anything in Detroit, Michigan. Maybe some of these US ones are. So here's the thing, right? We've got this cool AI feature, but will it really get you where you want to go? That's the challenge. And yes, you can do some of these complex searches. Let me drop that Boolean search in there. If you can find tons of articles, you can ask ChatGPT to write Boolean searches for you. This is not like rocket science, but you can play around with it and see what you get. The challenge I find is that if we're being real, LinkedIn's AI is second rate. I don't like the way their prompts write things. I would never use it to write a headline or a summary. And so you take that into the jobs feature, and are you going to get good matches? I don't know. I would keep it pretty simple. Title, you can change the location later. So maybe I wouldn't necessarily put that in my first search because I can do that later. And I would keep it as clean as possible and then use these remaining buttons to do what I need to do. So the things you can't do in buttons, title, level, salary, industry, I would probably leave location out of it. It's going to default to where you're located, and then you can use this to fix it. You have to have at least a country. It just wouldn't let me do anything where I was trying to not have any location. So those are some of the things that I've found, and just the challenges that we have on LinkedIn. However, this is surface level, right? This is any job board. You could do this board. What can we do here that we can't do on other job boards? And that my in the network button is a great button to see, do I know people that work there that could make these introductions? And how can I reach out to them, right? And I'm not going to click on people because that brings up their profiles. But if I could reach out to them, what would that look like? And you might remember that last week we were sharing our our scripts for connecting on LinkedIn. So if you're interested in that, we do have our little prompts that you can get through through our website. And let me see if I can share those. Well, this is just going to be a QR code because I don't have anything fancy, but I do have this. And let me grab the link real quick and I'll put that in here. If you're interested, we do have the scripts, but you could use them as prompts to adjust for, whoever you want to connect with. But when you're thinking about reaching out to people, this is great because you've not just got the jobs, now you've got people that actually work there. So that's the thing that you can't get from any other job board that you can get from these pieces here on LinkedIn, right? As you can click through, you can see who do you know that works there. And then you can also look at second level connections. And this is where we might go through and look at the company, right? So we've got the company, their posting is here. We can get into the actual company profile just by clicking on the company name. And that's where we could get into the people. And in the people field, I feel like I need to make this a little smaller. In the people area, that's where we could search by title, right? So I could search by product manager and I can see who this company has been a product manager. I can filter down by where they live, where they've studied. And if I use the little scroll thing here, what they do, what they're skilled at, all of those things, how we're connected. Maybe I want to filter that down to second. That wasn't there the other day. Maybe it's not there for every company, but I can filter that down, and then I can see the names of people who are product managers, who are second levels, and then I could see who's the connector, right? If that person's a second level, it means there's one person in between, and maybe I can get an introduction through that person. When you do that, you want to ask outside of LinkedIn usually. If you know them via email or if you know them by phone, if you have to message them on LinkedIn, that's okay. But you want to look at, are they even active on LinkedIn? And do they know this person? Would they be willing to make an introduction? Or would it be comfortable for them to make an introduction? So that's just one way that you can use that information in the jobs feature. I'm going to go back to the jobs feature for just a second, because one of the other things that we could do, so the other day we were playing around with a person who wanted to be a corporate trainer. So getting out of teaching at the high school level, wanted to go into corporate training. And here's the other really fun thing that we can do. We're going to need a couple of seconds here. So I can take this list, and if I get it, I have to be a little careful not to click on the links, but if I copy it, I can copy the entire list, and then I could bring it into my favorite LLM. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT, and I'm just going to paste the whole list in first, and then we're going to look at some of the ways that we can play around with this here in ChatGPT. So, I think that was showing the wrong thing, but that's okay. I don't know why the wrong LinkedIn was showing. Okay, let me show you the right LinkedIn for a second, although this isn't brain surgery, but we got it. We can do it. Here we go. Okay, so all I did was go back to that search for Greensboro. We were looking at someone that might want to be a corporate trainer, right, transitioning out, and I highlighted all of the job titles, not looking at all of those, but just the job titles. Not going to get into the descriptions, which we could do as well, and then we're going to come into ChatGPT and just do a little bit of work with this. So I pasted in all of those companies and job titles, and now I could do some work with these to see what are some of the trends. So the first thing that I could do is say, let's just look at, here's one idea. And we'll look at a few of these. So analyze the companies and names, identify and categorize the job titles, right? What level, those types of things, the 5 companies that appear the most often, and any emerging trends. And then I've got the job titles and things there. And you can see that it pulls the company name. When I just did that copy and paste, it pulls all of the stuff that was in that sidebar into the paste, which is great. So now I can get some information about what's going on in that market, right? Manager, specialist, partner, trainer. So if my client's trying to figure out like which job titles are the best fit for me, which job titles are going to translate the best, I can do that here and get it to do a little bit of analysis for me. Then it tells me the companies that appear the most frequently. Oh, there wasn't any repeats, but it's telling me these might be the most hiring the most open positions, and then some emerging title positions, operations and management. And it was very literal with the keyword suggestions, so I'd have to be a little bit more careful with my prompt to see what else I could get. But the idea here is that I could take these jobs that are listed on LinkedIn, I can network through them, which we'll look at again quickly, because I think that was I think I wasn't sharing the screen with that. then I could look at, which ones might be the best fit for my background. So I could put in my old resume minus all of the contact info and say, which of these jobs might be the best fit based on my background. I could actually go through the job descriptions and copy and paste those into a document and upload it and have it analyze that against my background. So it kind of depends on what am I looking for, right? First, I'm looking at trends, who's hiring, what types of roles, what level, and I can analyze the job listings based on that. You could do that with any job board, not just LinkedIn. And then the second thing I could do is go through and analyze the actual job descriptions related to my resume, what is going to be the best fit, what level, what titles, et cetera, so that I know where I'm headed. But it's all connected to things that are actually posted right now. Now, the third thing that I could do is I could ask for, what Boolean search should I use, or what terms should I use to network with people in these companies. So yes, we can network with the recruiter, but that's just one person. We could, or one type of person. We could also network with other human resources officers, the other things that I could do. So I'm going to try that prompt in here. We'll see what it looks like. Just to say, so given the list of companies and titles, I'm going to take out this question. Well, I guess we could keep that in there. Thought leadership questions or content themes that would be relevant to professionals in the role. List of people titles to search for within those companies for strategic networking. So, and I'm going to take out the suggestions because it keeps taking those too literally. If I had time, I'd actually be more specific of the titles, right? HR, learning and development. We just saw some of those things up in the top of the prompts or up in the search results that we just got. So now we're thinking, okay, who am I going to network with? Yes, the people connected to the open jobs is great, but what about the people that may work at those companies that I could also search for? And I could do that on the company pages, which we were just looking at. And I could do that in other ways. So actually, while LinkedIn or while ChatGPT is thinking, we'll go back to LinkedIn. And we were looking at, like, if I go to Strata Clean Energy, I can come into the company page. And I believe this didn't show last time I was looking at it, that then you can go to the people and you can filter that down by title. So let's say I wanted to look at the product manager there. I can look at that and then it will filter it down by the keyword. I can also then use these scrolling things here to filter it down by marketing, management, where they studied, how we're connected. And this is a smaller company than I was looking at the last time. The last time I had a lot of people that were second level connections. Since this is a smaller company, I just have some thirds, which may be harder to get an introduction to, but I could see if any of these folks are actually posting on LinkedIn and go through and comment to network with them here on LinkedIn. So those are just some ideas to get into the networking mindset, not just the apply online mindset, right? We've got so many other ways that we can use this, especially the LinkedIn job board, to poke through, find people that work there, network in, and then make those connections. So it's just, yes, it's a job board and we can use it as that. But as we know, although applicants that apply and are qualified on a job board are seen as quality applicants, it's really hard to get seen. So taking it one step further and actually networking, connecting, commenting, building relationships, but now you can do it in a strategic way because you have the job postings, you have the idea of, okay, these people are actually hiring, they're growing, they've got something posted, hopefully it's not a ghost job, and you can network in to see what they're doing. So those were the ways that you can use LinkedIn for the jobs feature, for the connections and doing the research, figuring out what types of things are growing, what is, what's going on in the market. There's a lot of ways that you can use this LinkedIn jobs feature to your client's benefit. I'd love to hear from you if you've got other ideas or questions or things you'd like to see demonstrated again. And of course, we'll be back here next Tuesday for another Trend Tuesday Live. We have a lot of stuff going on. So if you're interested in helping federal career professionals transition out of the federal government, or helping those folks getting to new positions in the federal government, we've got a series coming up starting next Wednesday, really geared to how to help people transition in or out of the federal government, with Nancy Siegel, who's just brilliant, right? If you're not following Nancy and you want to help people get in or out of federal, she is the person to follow in that space. So I would highly recommend that. And then the other thing that we have starting tomorrow is our digital branding strategist program. How do you help people understand how to use these networks like LinkedIn to not only build for their job search, but beyond, so that they can be sought out and they can transition faster, because we know that we'll all be moving and shaking and changing jobs, whether we'd like to or not sometimes. And so how do you help people build that digital presence that will buoy them throughout their careers? So if you're interested in either of those, let me know and we will get you the information. Otherwise, we'll see you on Friday. We're going to dive deeper into deep research tools that you can use for labor market research. So we showed a little bit of that here on LinkedIn, but there's some great tools that we can use. So Friday in Career Services this week will be on labor market research. And then we'll be back next Tuesday for Trend Tuesday Live. Thank you, everyone, and have a great week.